Gentlemen of the press, would like to, on behalf of Mr. Acting Minister John Tapak, Assistant Minister Marvin Yembro, we'd like to, on behalf of the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, welcome the Executive Chairperson of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. They have come to speak to the public on issues related to the work that they do at the LACC. Now, the team here at the ministry has consistently emphasized the importance of this platform. And in furtherance of that, we'll have the LACC here today. Many times we're having press conference, people talking about asset declaration and what have you. The LACC board is here today to speak on this issue. But before we invite the executive chairperson of the LACC to the platform, we would like to speak to certain pertinent issues making rounds in the media. As you all may be aware, the President, His Excellency Joseph Boakai, is leading a delegation of the government of Liberia to the Republic of South Korea. And the purpose of that travel is to attend the Korea-Africa Summit. At the summit, President Boakai has had bilateral talks with the South Korean President, Yoon Suk-yeol, on the sideline of the Korean-African Summit, which is taking place currently in the Republic of Korea. Also, from that summit, South Korea has assured Liberia the President to support Liberia's developmental drive, to leverage partnership in areas including roads, infrastructure, and provide scholarship for Liberians seeking steady opportunities in the Republic of South Korea. Of course, all of us know that Korea is a very advanced country in terms of technology and industrialization. So the President is making a very strong and convincing case for our country. And just on the sideline of that summit, these are some of the important things that Liberia stands to benefit. That being said, I'd now like to inform you that the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, the LRRC, on Monday, June 3rd, began its verification and data processing exercises to ensure that appropriate standards, I'll read that again. The Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission on Monday, June 3rd, 2024 began its verification of data processing and exercise to ensure that stranded Liberians in the Republic of Ghana who return home from former Buruan camp are properly resettled and engaged with their family back home. Our Director of Press of Public Affairs, Mr. Lawrence Pamela, is currently with the LRRC team in Ghana to ensure that the large batch of our citizens that are stranded due to some stringent measure being imposed by the Ghanaian authority, they're there to ensure that our citizens can return home peacefully and be given the dignity that they deserve. Of course, last week we were here to talk about the first batch of people that arrived, It's being posted to a place in Banga or Kari, it's a holding site. So the processes are ongoing. We also like to speak to the situation at the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency, which the President has made swift intervention by suspending with immediate effect the 3 senior officials that were appointed at our agency. The government is committed to the fight against illicit drugs. And those who will benefit from the President's appointment power are to at all times be responsible in the exercise of their duty. The situation at the LDA became absolutely embarrassing for the image of the government, and the President, His Excellency, could not help but to take swift action. Also, the President has effectuated an immediate investigation into the claims and conduct claims that were made by 3 officials. They will be investigated. Why should they be investigated? Because it's important. Some of the things that were said on the audio or video that is circulating in the public tend to undermine the government commitment to fighting illicit drugs. And so they are on suspension without pay. And Mr. Christopher Peters, whom many of you may not know, he comes from a security background, a very trained professional, criminal justice practitioner, has been appointed by the President to serve as officer in charge. This action, let me conclude, has to serve as a warning to all public officials that when you are given the opportunity to serve the country, you have to do so diligently, especially so when you are being appointed to a position to address a particular pandemic that is now becoming a social problem in our country. Like I said, it was very unfortunate, and we thank the President for taking siege of the matter. The public can be assured that the government commitment to fight illicit drugs in this country remain unwavering. We feel that our society, the future of our country, is being threatened by the importation, systematic distribution of these illegal substances that damage or that is damaging the future of thousands of Liberians. And so therefore the government is undeterred. The action taken by the President to send a signal to the public that the President takes the fight against illicit drugs very seriously. Lastly, Liberia has been admitted to the EMOG group. The EMOG group is an international consortium of financial intelligence units. They do intelligence sharing, they do fact findings to help fight and mitigate the threat of money laundering and terrorist financing. The officer in charge at Liberia's Financial Intelligence Unit, Mr. Mohamed Nasser, informed us that this has been a long time coming. Liberia's effort to be admitted to this group is a massive lead in the fight against corruption. Because the LSC board is here to talk about issues surrounding asset declaration among others. There are people who have offshore account, foreign bank account, and everything. This group that Liberia has been admitted to form a part of. It's an intelligence sharing. For example, if you came to Liberia, you're given a position to serve, and you invest some money, invested in other countries, and there's no way that we can trace it back home, the Liberia Financial Intelligence Unit can partner with financial intelligence unit in those countries that will be corrupt officials to find a safe areas to discover those stolen wealth. So it's a massive move for us, and we would like to have here next week, hopefully, the FIU so they can follow elaborate on this. That being said, let me now take the opportunity to invite to the podium the executive chairperson of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to make a presentation. Madam Chairperson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you to the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism for giving the LCC this opportunity to be able to inform the Liberian populace of the work that we do at the LCC. My presentation is going to be guided for a period. It's going to be for the period January to May 2024, because I was here last year and I made a presentation on the period September to November. So the presentation is going to be January to May. Alright, first and foremost, I would like to introduce myself. I am Councillor Alexandra So. I'm the Executive Chairperson of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. And someone will ask, what do you do as an Executive Chairperson? As the Executive Chairperson, I'm charged with the responsibility of overseeing the day-to-day running and the day-to-day activities of the institution. I'm charged with the responsibility in consultation with the Board of Commissioners to ensure that we implement appropriate measures and undertake programs geared towards enforcing our mandates at the LCC. And what are our mandates? In keeping with the 2022 Act, our mandates are preventing corruption, investigating acts of corruption, prosecuting acts of corruption, as well as educating the public about the ills of corruption and the benefits that come with eradicating corruption. So, before I dive into the presentation, I would just like to do a brief overview of our legal framework. How did the LCC come into being? The LCC was initially established through an act of the legislature in 2008. And then in 2022, July 2022, the act was amended and the LCC, the new Anti-Corruption Commission, was established. Somebody will ask what's different. The Act of 2008 did not give the current LCC the direct prosecutorial powers. Before 2022, what happened is when the LCC investigate, we used to send our files to the Justice Ministry to be able to review and determine whether to proceed to court or not. That process was a 90 days process, and if the Ministry of Justice decides that we should not prosecute a particular case, then we win. What this new law has done, it has given us the power to decide ourselves to prosecute. Once we do our investigation, we do not have to go to anyone to decide for us to prosecute ourselves. Who are we? Like I said, we are Liberia #1 anti-graft institution charged with the responsibility of investigating, prosecuting, educating the public about corruption. So it brings me to what are our current initiatives. So currently, we took over the new Board of Commissioners took over in September of 2023. Since we took over, we've been undertaking several initiatives. The first thing we did was to ensure that we establish relationships with our stakeholders and partners in the fight against corruption. What are some of the stakeholders and partners? Civil society agencies, some of our partners, USAID, UNDP, the World Bank. Currently we have a couple of engagements ongoing for which we are positive with you benefits for the LACC. Additionally, I'll just do the initiative. I'll take it one at a time as it relates to the different departments. Because at the LACC, we have 4 departments. We have the Department of Administration, which I oversee. We have the Department of Education and Prevention, which is overseen by the Vice Executive Chairperson. We have the Department of Monitoring and Investigation, and then we have the Department of Prosecution. So I'll just go over what initiatives each of the departments are undertaking. So for the administration department, when we took over, we did a lead assessment of the institution, and we established that LACC, like all other institutions, has dire need for a lot of things, especially logistics. Additionally, we have needs for trainings. There's a huge capacity issues that we have there, and there's just a need to just build up capacities at the LACC. For the education department, currently the education department, like I said, we are working with our partners. They are undertaking programs geared towards educating the public. We have this program that we're currently undertaking with the youth here. It's called Intern Youth Program. I believe that some of the journalists here have benefited. We have that platform where the LACC collaborated with the youth here to just educate the journalists on how to report corruption and just to understand what corruption is. Currently, we have other activities with the UNDP where we are creating awareness about our laws. We are creating awareness about the Whistleblower and Witness Protection Act, so that you get to understand as a witness when you blow whistle what happens. So these are initiatives. It's not only ongoing in Monrovia. We've been to Bombing, we've been to Grand Bassa, and as we currently speak, we'll be in Fender tomorrow. Our education department will be in Fender tomorrow. We have been undertaking radio shows where we've gone in to be able to bring the public to speed as to what we are doing at the LACC. So that brings me to my investigation department. My investigation department, like I said, the period I'm reporting on is January to May. For the period January to May, my investigation department have investigated several cases that have been brought to our attention from several institutions. All of these investigations, we have concluded 5. We are about to send them to prosecution so that we can be able to draw up indictment for prosecution. Now we just name these institutions. We are investigating the Liberian, the National Election Commission, Ministry of Finance, NOCA, National Fisheries, National Center for Coordination of Response Mechanism. We are also investigating the Civil Service Agency, Ministry of State, Liberia Revenue Authority, Center for National Document and Records, Ministry of Information, Liberia Land Authority, Water and Sewer, FIA, BWR versus women. These are cases that have been brought to us, and we immediately dive into them. We are investigating them. Like I said, we have concluded, and 4 of them we concluded. We're about to send them to our prosecution department. So for prosecution, currently the LACC, we have 4 cases that we have indictment have been drawn up. The defendants have been served. Some of them are on a bond. Some of them have come to the LACC and they have initiated something called restitution process, for which they are beginning to pay. We're doing that closely in consultation with the court. There was issue where there was a report of LACC not prosecuting one defendant from the Liberia water and sewer case. First and foremost, not prosecution is something where you remove all charges from a defendant based on either the evidence that you adduce, whether it's not, maybe it's not enough, or you have negotiated with the defendant to become state witness. In this case, this is what we did. The defendant has agreed to become state witness for the LACC, and so we dropped the charges and brought the person to our side. So when we got to prosecution, that person will be able to provide testimony and become state witness. As we speak, our prosecution department is currently prosecuting, I think we all know about the Miami County Health Team case where monies that were supposed to be used for the Miami Hospital was just misapplied, misappropriated. There was 9 defendants. We charged we served all of them with their indictment, some of them filed bond. Currently, what we did, because the incident took place in Miami County and based on the popularity of the defendants there, we moved the court to change the venue of the trial, so that because we cannot have the defendants coming from RDB and we have the jurors coming from RDB. These are people that have lived in the community together. We do not want a situation where we have compromises. So the case has now been moved to Banga. As we speak tomorrow, my prosecutors will be on their way to Banga to kick off trial. This is a case, like every other case, that we take very serious at the LACC, and we're going to be sure that we try this case to the logical conclusion. So, in keeping with our initiative at the prosecution, these are what we have done. That brings me to the issue of asset declaration. So, asset declaration is a major issue, especially when it comes to public officials who are charged with the responsibility of overseeing government in a spirit of transparency, in a spirit of accountability. The legislature crafted the National Code of Conduct, and they put in those specific requirements for public officials. It says that public officials, before you come to government, so there are two sets of public officials. For public officials who are elected, before you come to government, it says you must declare your asset before taking seats. It says if you are involved, additionally, if you are a public official at any public institution, you are involved in decision making, involving tendering, involving procurement, involving issuance of licenses, you must declare your asset before taking seats. The next group of people who are required to declare their assets are public officials or people who are appointed by the president. The Code of Conduct, Section 10.2, H as amended, it says that when you are appointed by the president, after appointment, 30 days after appointment, you must proceed to the LACC and declare your asset. Now, what happens if you do not declare your asset? The Code of Conduct also provides for sanctions, and that those sanctions can be recommended by the LACC to the president or to the relevant authorities. So, for example, here at the Ministry of Culture, at the Ministry of Information, if we have people who are non-compliant, the LACC will do a listing of those individuals and write directly to the minister and say, your controller, for example, has not declared. We want you to withhold his salary until he or she declares. Where are we so far? So we all know that we did an exit declaration. And now we are doing an entry declaration. As at, I think it was April, I reported asset declaration regarding public officials. I reported a number of 75 persons. And since we did that interview, we now have people coming in. The number has increased to 207 as I speak. And this involved the legislature, executive, the legislature and the executive. So this just covers asset declaration. Somebody will ask, what happens when people declare? What do you do with the information? The information are kept and sealed with the asset declaration unit at the LACC. How do you have access to it? Our law provides, the LACC law provides that we do not have any obligation to publish. However, some public officials, in the spirit of transparency, are taking it upon themselves to publish their asset declaration, which is commendable. For if, as press people, if you want to have access to the information that are with us, all you have to do is to proceed to the court and just get an order from the court, and then the court will order us to release that information. So that sums it up for asset declaration. Our challenges. So the LACC, like all other institutions, we have challenges. For our major challenge is the issue of our financial autonomy. Financial autonomy is a major issue because to fight corruption, there's a saying that says corruption fight back. And this is because most of the time people who engage in acts of corruption are people who sit in high places, and they have access to funding, and they have access to information, they have all the contacts, and so to be able to fight them, we must be equipped as an institution. Unfortunately, this is a challenge for the LACC. Notwithstanding, we are taking steps, we are engaging the relevant authorities to ensure that we will be able to just have that financial autonomy, which means we should get our quarterly allotments in advance to be able to just map up programs. The issue of investigation, you cannot just jump on and go and start investigating people. You have to map up programs, do strategies to be able to know, how to move in when you get information. Information is not cheap. You have to be able to facilitate receiving information. So these are just challenges. This is one of our major challenges. Even prosecution too. To be able to prosecute, we have issues of financial autonomy, but like I said, we are working. Day to day we are working, and we believe hopefully that will be resolved. Another challenge we have is the issue of our independence. These are semblance that have been coming to the institution, but as head of the institution, I always told my board of commissioners that we have to be careful how we respond to issues out there, because sometimes you are mistaken and then you are dragged into a whole political back and forth. So the issue of independence, we want to be able to do our work without interference from any form, be it our partners, and then independence does not only come from within government, sometimes it comes from partners. For example, there has not in just clarified there has not been a particular case where any partner has tried to influence what we do at the LACC. I'm just giving instances. So for example, maybe a partner will tell you, we'll be able to support your project or want you to prosecute this particular person. So independence is a major thing for us. Independence to be free from political interferences, religious interferences. To the extent that when the LACC come out and make a statement, we want to be independent to the extent that our statement is respected, so that we don't be called back to clarify. If you maybe call to the legislature asking us to clarify what do we mean and so on and so forth. But just basically those are issues that is coming to our attention, and we just thought to put it out there. Additionally, we have a lot of challenges, logistic. We do not have logistic. For example, when we have to do something that we will achieve. So it will take us to our success stories. What are our success stories? We've been able to establish relationship with our counterparts, both internationally and locally. Internationally, we've been able to establish relationship with the EFCC, which is the Nigerian version of the Anti-Corruption Commission. We are engaging them to the extent that they too are willing just to provide technical assistance for us, training assistance for us. We are about to sign an MOU to that effect. Over the last week, I was in Sierra Leone. I engaged with my counterpart. They too are doing well there. We have an MOU that we have signed that will be able to help us to be able to exchange information, just basically information sharing. Information sharing, collaboration, mutual legal assistance. So these are some of our success stories. We believe it can get better. At the LACC, we are focused on ensuring that we enforce our mandate. At the LACC, we're going to take steps to make sure that we do the work of the Liberian people. My vision for the LACC. So when I talk about the LACC, or when this board of commissioner took over the LACC, we took over the LACC at the time that our country was going to election, and there has been so much issue of distrust. The general public, and I don't blame them, because the fight against corruption in Liberia does not seem to be yielding any results. And so the public does not even believe that we can win this fight. And so when we took over, one of my major visions, it was to rebrand the institution to the extent where when we go out there and say the LACC is doing this, the public will be able to support us to say, okay, yes, these people mean business. How do we do that? We started engaging the legislature, because another major problem we have the issue of persecution. Currently, as we speak, the only court in Monrovia that hears corruption cases is the Criminal Code C. A particular court is already overwhelmed with other criminal cases. Just to be able to get the LACC cases on the docket is a major problem. We have to continuously engage the judge, which at some point, I think it was in January, he tried one of the cases for us, but it's just a problem. So my vision is to make sure that we engage the legislature, engage the executive, so that we can be able to establish the Criminal Code F, which is the Anti-Corruption Code. I'm so happy that the president has already signed a resolution for the establishment of the War Crime Code, which also gave rise to the establishment of the Economic Code that will also be responsible to hear issues of corruption. And so this is a dialogue that we want to continue to push, so that we can be able to ensure that this code is set up. We have our partners, the World Bank, have engaged us that, hey, this is something that we want to facilitate. So we are currently working with the World Bank, and we'll be able to engage the legislature so that we can, as we speak, we have a draft bill before the legislature for the establishment of the Anti-Corruption Code. We are pushing that particular agenda, and hopefully we'll be able to establish the Anti-Corruption Code F. Another vision for the LCC that we have as Board of Commissioners is the issue of decentralization. As I said, most of the cases we do at the LCC is just within Monrovia. But we've had complaints from all around Liberia. And so my vision is to be able to establish offices in the region where we can have staff, just going around and engaging the general public in the different counties on issues of corruption, encouraging them to report corruption. Because we have superintendents and other government officials who are in the counties there who are also, knowingly or unknowingly engaging in acts of corruption. But how do we get such information? Sometimes we don't get this information because there's no access, they do not have access to us. And so decentralization will be able to take away that gap and so provide opportunities. So for example, you're in Spano County and you want to report some act of corruption, you can go to the office there at the LACC and we can be able to hear your matter. Technology. Right now, criminals, and the issue of corruption is not only in public spaces, in private spaces too, which we have jurisdiction over. The issue of corruption, the criminals are becoming smarter and smarter every day, and to be able to keep up with them, we must invest in technology. This is one of my visions at the LCC. We want to be able to have, for example, software that will be able to just monitor, in real time, what's happening in the world. What are some of the issues that we need to be proactive about? Just basically having, like, if you're going to do investigation, just basic equipment that you can use. These are some of the issues that I have as a head of the institution. Lastly, asset recovery. The whole fight against corruption, the bottom line is asset recovery. Because when you after you've done your investigation and you prosecuted, you must be able to recover assets that was stolen from the state and get it back to the state to be able to use for the public as it was initially intended. We want to build, our vision is to build a robust asset recovery team and we'll be able to go there, identify stolen assets and be able to retrieve them as we are mandated as the Liberian, the only institution in Liberia that is mandated to recover assets on behalf of government. These are basically what is obtaining at the LCC. I will stop here for now and maybe we'll have questions and answers. Thank you.
Executive Chairperson of the LCC was as clear as crystal. Now, before you put your question to Madam Zoe, just let me clarify that you indicated that the Ministry of Information is ongoing investigation. We want to say government's continuity, but that investigation did not ensue on this administration. Thank you.
So, please introduce yourself. The name of the institution you work for.
Thank you so much. My name is Maurice Waleti and I report for Micat. My first question goes to Minister Daniel Sando. Yesterday we saw a release from the judiciary. According to that release, the judiciary said that the money allotted to them in the 2023-2024 budget is not enough. Yeah, I saw that release. So I want to know, and one of their justification that they gave was all of the 3 branches of government are all equal. Why you should give them a little amount? What's the response of the government? My concern has to do with Councilor Zoe, thank you so much for your deliberation. But please, I did not hear you name some the four people or four institutions you say you have already indicted and waiting to be taken to court. And the second one is the issue of the asset declaration. As of I can remember, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, you announced that of the 500 appointees, the appointment that was done by President Waka, about 75 or 70 of them, and we declare their asset. And one of their justification, I can remember, I listened to one of them saying that in their appointment letter, some of them, their salary was not mentioned. But my major issue is, can you tell us, as of that date that you had made that pronouncement to this date, can you tell us whether there's an increase or we still at the same level? Thank you.
So, one question to everyone.
So my name is James M. Bala, and I report for Radio Jordan for Dublin and Liberia County. I'm actually prepared to lead my decisions. Honorable manager starts broadcast relay of this program from this center to my county. I on Zoom. My attention is being drawn to the issue that has to do with the saga in my county that has to do with 13 presidents. The LACC indicted. Today I heard you speaking about 9 presidents. Yes, the case is transferred to Banga. What we are not getting clear from here is the case is transferred to Bonnie, the case is transferred to Banga. And we, as Nigerians, want to know as to which area this case will be tried. However, what is the damage will you cause if the case is tried and those who been accused by LACC are not guilty of the crime in terms of damaged character? Finally, the newest president who took over the State Running Hospital on the CUC project, how far has this case gone in regard to the same LACC calling by the day and giving the job to another person? Thank you so much.
She wants to answer those 2 questions, and then we can take some other questions.
Okay. We just wanted to make it 3 at least.
Okay, Morris, I'll take Morris' question. Morris' question was about, Morris, your question was about indictment. That's what I told 4 entities.
Yeah.
I said, I list the entities that are being investigated. I said 4 have concluded. I did not say we have indicted. I said 4 have concluded. So you want me to list the 4 that we have concluded on? I can do that. We have concluded on the local case. We have concluded on the Liberian Revenue Authority case. We have concluded on the FIA case. This we're doing collaboration with the Justice Ministry. And we've concluded on the BWI versus Women case. We have not drawn up indictment because what we do is we conclude on it, generate a report, and then forward it to the prosecution department. Based on the pieces of evidence, the prosecution department will advise the Board of Commissioners as to whether to proceed with prosecution. So I hope that answers your question. The issue of the Margini County case, 13 persons, I said 9 have been indicted because the rest of the other 4, we have not been able to get hold of them. It doesn't mean the indictment does not exist. The indictment exists, but the ones who are able to, when they indict you, they can arrest you. The ones who are able to arrest and indict is 9 persons. You asked whether if the person is not guilty, what happens? That is for the court to decide. There are laws that are there and they have remedies to redress. If you go through a process and you are not found guilty, you can take advantage of the law and you have redress. You mentioned something about a new person that has been that the LSCC put in place at the C. Hospital. The LSCC does not employ people with, the LSCC has no hand in employing whoever is at the C. Hospital. Thank you.
So we continue with our questions.
Thank you so much. My name is George Momo, and I report for KCTV Liberia. So, my first question will go to Mr. Samuel. In past time, we came to the hall, and there was this issue of government working to get hold of the social media platform of the Liberian News Agency. So I want to know how far are we with that? And to the LACC, you talk about the 30 days period after coming to public office, failure to declare your asset, it leads to sanction. So were we to calculate from the time of appointment, the 30 days that lead to sanction, we have over 3/10 of them expire. So you care to tell us how many persons have you sanctioned?
How many questions are taking so far?
Answer the first.
Okay, all right.
Good afternoon. My name is O'Neill Phillips. I work for the New Liberian newspaper. I have a question for the LACC boss. When we talk about asset declaration, we need to think about government official appointed. Here you mentioned that some official government that control us, procurement officers are also allowed to declare their assets. Madam Chairperson, will you mind to tell the public how many GM officials at the level of being controller, procurement officers, and from which ministry they come from, that have declared an asset? And to that, because asset declaration, have you received any threats since you said that over 500 persons threats? Have you received any threat since you said 500 persons from the new government being appointed, only 75 have declared an asset? Have you received any threats from anybody?
You want to take those two?
Yeah.
So to answer George Momo's question about the 30 days requirement, and since the law says 30-day requirement, the 30 days, there have been three different periods of 30 days that have elapsed. So when in April, we issued a regulation. And I will encourage all of you to kindly just go to the LACC page, the web page. It's www.lacc.gov.lr. We issued that regulation to all public officials, giving July 31st, 2024 as the deadline, official deadline for asset declaration. It's like LRA. Right now, June is the cutoff period for paying taxes. Notwithstanding, as the year goes by, people are still paying taxes. So we issue an official deadline, say, hey, and let me just clarify, if you go to the LACC Act, just note it, section 5.2, subsection 0, number 4 and number 5 gives the LACC the authority to issue guidelines that will help us to effectively implement the asset declaration regime. You cannot read the Code of Conduct absent reading the LACC Act. Why is true that the Code of Conduct says 30 days? The LACC Act says that the LACC can issue guidelines. Basically, it will tell you how to proceed to declare your asset. So we thought it in our own wisdom. Hey, but notwithstanding, we have been publishing asset declaration on our website. That's why I said, please take the website, a report. We issue our annual report for 2023. Everybody that declared and did not declare, just go there, it's there. For first quarter, January to May, everybody that declared and did not declare is there. Notwithstanding, we are saying we gave you July 31st, 2024. Everybody that was appointed from January to July 31st, if you do not come to the LACC to declare your asset, we will publish a listing and we will officially communicate to the president. And then we will ask the president, in keeping with the code of conduct, to apply the appropriate sanctions, which some are termination of job, withholding of salary, demotion. So this is the process we are going through. So, in as much as you very correct, the 30 days are elapsed. However, the LACC Act gives the LACC the authority to decide when is the deadline, to decide how to proceed in the collection of asset declaration. This is the process we are doing. It's a regulation. Maybe you can contact me here afterwards. I can be able to share with you a copy of the regulation. But the regulation has been issued. In our regulation, it states who all are required to declare, from the executive to the legislature to the judiciary, who all are required to declare. If you just go there, you will see it. Somebody asked if I've been threatened since I issued the statement about all of 575 declared. That as I mentioned in my presentation, I said since we issued the statement, we have people coming in, pouring in. There has been concern. There has been concern as to the level of awareness the LACC is doing when it comes to asset declaration. We know these concerns, and this is why we started now with the public engagement. Before we even issued our regulation, I've been going to studio. I was in Truth FM. I've had press statements regarding asset declaration as a public official. When you come to power, your national code of conduct says you should declare your asset. But meanwhile, we will continue the engagement as I speak. Undertaking an exercise where we are writing every head of institution. What we do is write a letter, we attach a copy of the asset declaration form, we attach the regulation that says July 31st is the deadline, and then in keeping with the president's 100-day deliverable, which calls for every public official to execute an integrity pledge. We are now kick off the execution of the integrity pledge. We also attach it, and we encourage heads of institutions to ensure that the officers or the employees that are in those institutions just take steps, reprint those forms, take steps to encourage them to be able to declare their assets. But come July 31st, just as we publish asset declaration in newspapers, we will publish asset declaration and we will officially communicate to the president to levy sanctions against non-compliant public officials.
So the reporter from Kofi FM is asking us to speak to a statement which he attributes to the judiciary, the Chief Justice, that allotment to that branch of government is not sufficient, asking us why. The Ministry of Information as a ministry that manages government communication, but we have to consult with other branches of government before we speak. The formulation of the government budget does not begin with the Ministry of Information. It begins with the Ministry of Finance. I don't know the allotment in this year's budget, the current budget for the judiciary, so I will now refrain from further speaking to it. So we'll note your concern, and we'll do the due diligence to your concern by inquiring what is in the new budget for the judiciary, and then we'll be able to speak to it adequately. Getting hold of the Liberian News Agency's social media page, a reporter from Kids TV, who said repeatedly that it is good you ask the question because we're also talking about asset declaration and asset recovery. The social media page in question is an asset of the government of Liberia. Somebody, the former director general, the former director of the Liberian News Agency has, for reason best known to himself, to personalize an asset of the Ministry of Information vis-a-vis the government of Liberia. It is good that the chairperson of the LCC is here. Because as we are having this press conference, that social media page that is followed, 1,000, if not millions, should be here to help inform the people. The Liberian News Agency is a fundamental part of the Ministry of Information. You journalists, you know the work of the Liberian News Agency. So, we are not be able to repossess this page from Mr. Kwame Oba-Weeks. All efforts by the current leadership of the Ministry of Information, with the Ministry of Justice, invited him. Other friends have made intervention. The last meeting they had, Assistant Minister Matthew Yekru was there. And Mr. Oba-Weeks has deliberately refused to have the Ministry of Information repossessed of that page. The situation is unfortunate. If the government decides to say, for example, we want to use the judiciary to arrest this man and prosecute him for what he's doing, some will term it as a claim down the media or witch hunts or what have you. But here we are. And it is good that you keep asking the question so we can tell the public the attitude that some of the people that will be appointed to public officials, the attitude they come with. Here you are preaching to a Facebook page of a ministry. So they just point to what they did when they had the opportunity to serve this country. And you come somewhere, you serve in a position, you are appointed by the ex-president, there's a political transition, and new administration takes on the mantle of authority of the country, and you say, I can't turn this thing over because it's my personal property. But is it buried me? So maybe we have the asset declaration, the asset recovery process invoked, so that we can go to half the page. The Liberian News Agency is going through rigorous transformation to be able to do the work that it's supposed to do as per the law created this ministry. And that page cannot be personalized by private individuals. If Mr. Weeks is listening, he needs to do the needful. He needs to do the needful. Thank you. How many people got a line in?
So the line ends beyond
Six. You will talk about it?
with the grade t-shirt.
6. So we'll take the 6th question. Thank you. The report doing asset declaration and asset recovery. This was too long. So we'll take the 6th question in row and she respond.
So please, one question only. If you go above one, I'll cut the mic off.
Thank you very much. My question goes to Madam Zul. Thank you for the deliberation. You talk about the commission not having lots of lawyer and prosecutor to fast track cases. I want to know, is this in any way hampering or undermining the fight against corruption? Two to that question is, what is the LCC doing to bring up more professional people or lawyers and to fast track criminal or corruption cases? Thank you.
So, Kura Thompson is the name, and I report for a truly independent media newspaper. I just want to, I've been finding it difficult to reach the chair lady, and I want to use this occasion to just ask him 2 questions. So please, if you can please spell it to me. Okay. The only institution mandated to go after assets recovery is LACC. That brings me to my first question. The legality of asset recovery has been questioned, and there is a state order currently that has been placed on its operation. However, the petitioner is questioning whether the President's executive order is duplicating the function of the Ministry of Justice or the LACC. Henceforth, the Ministry of Justice responded to the Supreme Court and said the order is legal and doesn't interfere with their function. So on this note, I want to know the position of the LACC on this matter. Is the executive order legal or not? Is it true that the executive order is interfering with the function at the LACC? That's 1. 2.
Keep me there.
Yeah, but let me just say, let me just say for the record that there's no state order on the operation of the asset recovery. There's no state order because the war is following. There's no state order on the operations of the asset recovery team for any court in Liberia. There was a case in point, somebody went to the court, and that action to have taken deposit property was stayed by the court. And that matter has since been resolved. The asset recovery team, they spoke the other day, they are gathering their intelligence, and they will issue with prosecution in the shortest time possible. There's no state order. I just thought to say that.
Thank you. Okay, the LSCC was to make a report to the President of Cabinet retreat. But then you travel leaving your deputy in charge. Unfortunately, it was the assistant in her office who reported on the commissioner's behalf in the presence of other commissioners. So don't you see this as a disrespect to the president? Or is there some level of disunity among the body of commissioners? Thank you.
Francis Kelly Cooper, I report for the Liberia TV Network. I listened to you carefully, and the President of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Joseph Boakai, said, things will no longer go as usual. I haven't listened to you carefully, and LACC is one of these integrity institutions that actually focuses on, executing some legal activities. You outline numbers that says that 500 people, out of the 500 people, only 75% have been able to absolutely declare their asset. For the record's sake and for transparency, because you are saying that Liberians are finding it difficult to actually trust or to place trust in the LACC. Don't you mind calling the names of those individuals who have actually declared an asset, and also those malpractices, those who have been, carrying on malpractices in other institutions, like you said, and they are currently ongoing investigation have been done. Don't you mind also calling the names of these individuals who have been held in contempt from their investigation, just to clear the doubt of the citizen? Thank you.
Okay, so I told you to so we take the last.
So to answer the question about whether or not the lack of lawyers, unlimited lawyers, is hampering the fight against corruption, the answer is yes. At this point, like I said, we have cases that we have drawn indictment in. But it's just not only the lack of lawyers, it is, like I mentioned, the fact that there is only one court in Monrovia, and most of the cases, the actions took place in Monrovia, so for jurisdictional purposes, we have to try in Monrovia. But yes, lack of lawyers, the fact that we have only one court, these are two major issues that are hampering the effective prosecution of people who are being investigated and found culpable as per our investigation. How can this be resolved? Like I said, we want financial autonomy. Once we can get our budget allocation, we will be able to employ new, maybe additional, not maybe, we have plans to employ additional prosecutors. So this is something we're working on. Once we get funding, we'll be able to get hold of our funding. We'll be able to employ additional lawyers. Let's talk about the Supreme Court. I would just say to you, the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice. If the Supreme Court comes down with a ruling, the LSCC can now come back and make a statement to that ruling. Somebody asked if there's an issue of disunity at the LSCC. I would just squarely say no. We've not had a situation. In fact, my staff and my board of commissioners, they are my biggest supporters. So we have a culture of oneness at the LSCC, and we have this thing where we constantly remind each other that we are here to do a particular job, and we must be not, because we can't be fighting amongst ourselves. How will we fight the people out there? So there's no issue of disunity, not amongst the board of commissioners, not even with the staff. That has not come to my attention. Somebody talked about my special assistant representing me. I was out of the country. You know, in management and running institutions, there is something called management by exception. It means putting individual with a requisite qualification in the right place. That means you'll be able to get the proper result. My special assistant worked as an asset declaration officer. She worked directly in that office. And so we were asked to deliberate on asset declaration. Asset declaration falls squarely, if you look at the LSCC, it falls squarely under the administration department, which are here. And because I was out of the country, I asked my commissioner was there, but he is directly responsible for investigation. I mean, only investigation that he went. So it does not make sense to take somebody who stronghold is in investigation and ask them to talk about asset declaration. My staff has worked in our unit for over 5 years. And so she was the best person, and she was accepted, and she did a really good job. But going forward, I will make sure so that my share does not flash back and be represented. Asset declaration reports. Yeah, you talk about the figures. I just said I gave the LSCC website. If you go and just take the reports, you're not even be asking a question. Because if you go, you'll see declare non-compliant date, declare in time. The report is clear, it's there. Just go to the website, download it. If you download it, you'll not ask this question. Because I can ask Kenya and say, oh, John Brown, controller at LSCC did not declare. It's a whole listing, paragraph plus person. I cannot say and stay and recite it. So just go to the website. The information is there. I'm open. My office is open if you need additional clarification, discussion around this. I'm open. So I hope these questions are answered.
Take the last 3 questions.
Yes.
So we continue with the questions.
Thank you. I'm Domingo Tawa. I write for the People's Newspaper. My first question goes to Minister Sano. Minister Sano, yesterday the gracious right company that took the assets and property at the Supreme Court of Liberia. How far are we with that case? And my second question goes to the LSCC boss. Madam, how was former President George Shimano, we are asset declarations are leaked to the public?
Okay, madam, my name is David Tadler. I work for the online Liberia Radio and Television Network. My question is to the Councillor Zoe. From the perspective of the LCC, what is corruption? What is the definition of corruption from your perspective? The next question is
No, let me ask.
The next question, yes, sorry, this Jay. So the next question is, you talked about the incapacitation of the LCC in terms of personnel. You talked about LCC has one lawyer. From the act that established the LCC, how many lawyers do you need, or does the LCC need? And Mr. Sano, you talked about the conference in South Korea, right? And you talk about the benefits, scholarship, the Korean government's commitment to support the Liberian government development agenda, scholarships, rules, and others. We didn't hear a similar thing from the conference in the United States in Dallas. Perhaps you said it at that time, I didn't hear it. So can you say something about that?
Thank you. I'm Andrew B. India, and I report for Excellent Liberian TV. My question goes to the Commissioner for the LCC. Having mentioned your challenges as institution, and you did mention financial autonomy, independence, having listed all those challenges, what are those mechanisms as institution that have intended to put in place to overcome those challenges? Thank you.
So that's any question?
Let me respond to the two questions and then the LCC board will close. How far is the case with the asset recovery and gracious right? The asset recovery team impeded the movement of the vehicles belonging to Gracious Ride. Gracious Ride went to court and they sought the intervention of the court. The court has since ordered the unconditional release of the vehicles to the purported owners. That's how far the case is. Right? I have to go to the second question. Okay, so David, apparently maybe you lost sight of it, but when the president was in the States, I addressed the press conference on behalf of the ministry, and I did indicate some of the good things, some of the outcome that Liberia stands to benefit as a result of the president attending the U.S. Africa Business Summit. I mentioned before this platform that a second compact is being discussed for Liberia. You know what that compact means? The Millennium Challenge Compact. If Liberia qualifies for that compact, Liberia gets the money. It could be a whole boost for our country. Millions could be pumped in. The first compact we qualify for is what we use today to rejuvenate the Macaulay hydro that will destroy the dam that will destroy during the war. So if a second compact is not being discussed for Liberia, and if everything goes as planned, Liberia stands to benefit a whole lot. Millions of dollars will be pumped into revive our economy. I also indicated to you that business leaders are at fault. The president made a very impressive case, and he had expressed interest in investing in various sectors in Liberia, infrastructure, rural energy, and what have you. We said that. We also said that after the U.S. Africa Summit, the president visited the state of Georgia, Atlanta, and he met with Delta Airline owners, and conversations are being held for the return of Delta Airline to Liberia, direct flights on Liberia Street to the United States. We also talk about the Georgia Tech. The University of Liberia is now in partnership with the Georgia Tech. They have for the start, they have an online program offering masters in technology, right? Liberian students. So these were all outcomes of the president U.S. visit. So, maybe you didn't get it, but we did outline it because we know that the public will be concerned. The person has wanted the state to attend something. What do we still benefit? The people are concerned to see what doesn't matter go on Facebook, say, oh, the president will go private jet when they play. The people want to know what the country stands to benefit. And that's why we place emphasis on that. So now, it's in South Korea. That's the update we provide. Thank you. Madam Chairperson.
Thank you. To answer the question about the ex-president asset declaration mainly, I appeared a couple of weeks ago before plenary of the House of Representatives, who has a journalist and maybe who has followed. I said I provided information there regarding how it was spent. Somebody asked me how do I perceive corruption at the LSC. I like the Transparency International definition. The abuse of public trust for private gains. Well, to break it down into our Liberia concept, it's defined in our penal code. Penal code defines acts of corruption. So let me just say in a Liberian layman way. To abuse power, you have power, you abuse your power to enrich yourself. I don't want to go into the Webster dictionary definition, but he said how I perceive it: abuse of power to enrich yourself, to get private gains at the detriment of the ordinary people. That's how I perceive. And as I said, corruption is not only in public space, corruption is also in private space. And so the LSD, even at the banks, when they call us there and say, can you come and investigate, we will move in and we will investigate and we will prosecute. The issue of the challenges that I mentioned, financial autonomy and independence, and how I intend to what strategy I have put in place, I said I will continue to engage authorities, especially when it comes to financial autonomy. I will continue to engage authorities because I think that's the way forward, to be able to get what is due the institution so that we can adequately function. On the issue of independence, we will work within our act. The act will always guide us. So if we are asked to do something that compromises our independence, we will revert to the law that protects us. Additionally, we'll use our own conscience. At this position that we sit, you must come to this position having a clear mind, having love for Liberia. We all here went through civil crisis. And one of the major reasons that we had that civil crisis was the issue of corruption. The warlord said there was rampant corruption in Liberia to the extent that they wanted the previous president to leave. Has corruption left Liberia? We said no. And so, for me, I am a mother. My concern is I do not want our country to go back to that state. And so, as I have been given this opportunity to lead this fight, my conscience will guide me. I'm not a strategist. My conscience will guide me. If I'm faced with a situation where I have to compromise independence, I will make the necessary decision. And that is to resign. I'm not going to be used to do something that today or tomorrow will affect me. I build careers, I build relationships. I'm not going to allow my independence to be compromised. So just to answer your question, these are strategies that I've built, and my colleagues at the LSCC, we have monthly meeting. Every month we have monthly meeting, and we have regular emergency meetings based on the need. And this is something that we constantly and continuously preach to each other, to not allow your integrity to be compromised, to not allow your independence to be compromised. We work there as a team, and we have one vision. And our vision is to ensure that we build a Liberia where there is integrity, where there is accountability, where there is transparency, and the respect for the rule of law.
Two more questions, madam.
Oh,
How many lawyers do you need?
how many lawyers do you need?
Currently, we need And each year, there will be need for additional lawyers, but for this year, based on, we have our budget strategy for this year, in addition to the one lawyer that we have, plus our two commissioners who are prosecutors, we need 3 lawyers. Once we can get those 3 lawyers, we are armed and equipped and ready to prosecute.
Thank you. We'd like to appreciate the Executive Chairperson, Madam Alexandra Zhu, for the LSCC for coming, speaking to you. The constitution, the 10-year Micat is nearing completion. Our Deputy Minister for Culture and Tourism, who is no other but Madam Kareatu Dick Conte. Madam, please stand so that the leader can see you. Chairman is confirmed by the Senate and has taken office. We thank you. She has been confirmed by the Senate, has taken the office. We thought to let you know so that you can, because she also comes from a media background. She also comes from a media background, so the work we do, like we said, is always complemented by you media people. So on that note, we like to say thank you. Thanks to the chairperson for coming. Thanks to you, members of the press, for always helping us to complete our job here at the Ministry of Information. Thanks also to State Broadcaster, the Liberia Broadcasting System, for relaying this edition of the press conference. We'll meet you next Tuesday. Thank you.